Wrestling is a tough business, and Great North Wrestling is the land of the tough guys, Canada's home of strong style wrestling. The Great North Wrestling Podcast is the official podcast of Canada's most popular wrestling YouTube channel, The Hannibal TV, hosted by two-time Canadian champion and former national champion in freestyle wrestling, Olympic trials silver medalist in Greco-Roman wrestling. Trained in the Hart family dungeon, he has over 15 years experience in the wrestling business as a wrestler and working behind the scenes in numerous companies. Hannibal, the Death Dealer, aka the Hannibal TV. Lead reporter, Devin Nicholson.
This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com and Great North Wrestling, and I have a very special guest on the line. He is a former WWE World Heavyweight Champion, actually has the most consecutive sellouts in Madison Square Garden history, and he is a member of the WWE Hall of Fame. He has some very big news for us today. He is superstar Billy Graham, the man of the hour, the man of the power, too sweet to be sour. Billy, thank you so much for speaking with me. It's an honor.
Oh, Hannibal, thank you very much for the honor of me being on your show. We've been friends now for quite some time, and as you know, I'm a big fan of you and your expertise in the ring and your promotion, and so it's an honor for me to be on your show. It really is, and with this breaking news, you have the exclusive that my hepatitis C that I've had for probably 25 years is now in remission because I went on a 3-month program offered to me by the Mayo Clinic Hospital in Phoenix, here in Phoenix, Arizona, back in September, October, November of 2016, and it actually cleared my blood system of the hepatitis C virus, which I and the doctors agreed acquired the hep C virus through the exchange of blood with all the blade jobs, especially in the 70s, the commingling of blood. So the big news is that I just had my last blood test just barely a week ago, 6 months out from my cessation of taking the medication for 3 months, and it showed my blood system is still free from the hepatitis C virus. So I'm officially, according to the Mayo Clinic Hospital, world famous Mayo Clinic Hospital, and the liver specialist, clean and freed from the hepatitis C virus, which was in the process of killing me, and I was very lucky to get the transplant in 2002, as all my fans know.
You are, and just one question here to interrupt you for a second. How did you get to be number one on the transplant list?
Oh, number one on the transplant list. To be honest about it, they have a scoring system, and all of the patients who are in the state of Arizona, and every state is really the same. The sicker you are, the higher they put you on the list, the waiting list for a transplant. And actually, you almost have to be dead, literally, to be number one, to be placed number one by the liver team who go through all of these testings and who agree together to put the person number one on the list in the state of Arizona, in my case, for a liver transplant. So but in order to be number one, Hannibal, you have to be almost dead. As a matter of fact, when I did, it was actually a miracle. Once I was put number one, officially number one, having the worst liver in the state of Arizona, 1 week later, I received my liver transplant. A young girl was a donor, and unfortunately had a horrible car wreck. And but she was a donor, and they kept her on life support after the car crash, and harvested her organs. And me being number one, got her liver. And the liver doctor at the Mayo, the liver surgeon who does the transplants, he helicoptered over to her hospital on the other side of Phoenix and harvested her liver for me. So I have a female liver in me, and the only reason I was able to use a female liver was because the girl, the donor, was a big bone, large girl. She's about 6 foot tall, very healthy, only 23, 24 years old. And my transplant surgeon, after the transplant, the next day he told me that when he pulled the old liver out of me and ran tests on it, that he estimated that I only had about a small handful of living cells in my liver, the old liver, and that I actually probably only had about 30 days left to live with that liver when I got my transplant.
And the transplant was from a 19-year-old girl who hadn't drank, who hadn't really abused her liver, so that's why, even though you've had Hep C, since you've had the transplant, your new liver has still been affected, but it's held up all these years because of how pure that liver was, right?
Yes, that's correct. She was 23 years old, Katie Gilroy. She was a donor. She had been a donor. She signed her driver's license when she was 16 years old to be a donor in case of her death in a car crash or any other way, actually. And I that's one reason why I've done so well for some 14 years. I received my liver transplant on October 18th, 2002. And so she was extremely healthy, never smoked, never drank, never took drugs, just a big, healthy girl, 23 years old, and a big, strapping 6-footer. And that's why I was able to have and use a female liver. The doctor said it wouldn't work if she would have been smaller. So that was another miracle that this was a big 6-foot girl. And she said, I talked to her mother, became friends with her family here in Phoenix, and the mother and father told me that she was just adamant, even when she was 16, that if she got killed, to keep her on life support and take her organs. And I got her liver. Another lady received her heart. 2 Navajo Indian girls got her kidneys. And so, she saved a lot of folks' lives.
So now
and that's why I was able, like you said, you just mentioned, I was able to last so long without anti-hepatitis C treatment, was because the liver was so healthy and so pure, and that it was like a brand new, basically a brand new liver. And so
now you won't have the hepatitis C virus attacking your liver anymore because you're officially cured. They did their 6-month post-treatment test on you, and it said you have no more virus, so you are cured unless you get reinfected, which you're not going to be getting reinfected, obviously.
No. And we agreed the doctors agreed after learning about my professional wrestling career and seeing pictures of me bleeding profusely in matches that the commingling of blood was definitely the cause of me acquiring hepatitis C from another wrestler, and so I am officially cured of hepatitis C, and it is out of my system. And the 6-month test that I just took a few weeks ago, blood test, was the final blood test that the Mayo will do on me, because at that point they officially put you in the category of cured of hepatitis C when you test negative for Hep C after 6 full months from your testing of your period of taking the medication.
And that's what I found out back in 2013 when you actually helped me get cured by recommending me to your liver specialist. Back in those days, the treatment was more harsh, but luckily modern medicine is always getting better and better, and your treatment luckily was only a matter of, 3 pills a day with no injections?
Yes, correct. 3 pills in the morning, 3 pills at night, with mild side effects. You could have nausea. I didn't have any. I did have one side effect of slight insomnia, and that was only the last two or 3 weeks of the treatment program. And I started the treatment program the 1st of October of last year, 2016. So I went through all of October, September, October, November, and with absolutely no side effects except a little insomnia. And they've just improved the medication, like you say, technology. You went through living hell. I know you did. I saw the pictures of your blisters and
36
and
weeks
all
too.
of. Oh my God, your treatment was so devastating on you that I read that a lot of people just simply stopped the treatment that you were on.
Well, it's now off the market. They took it off the market because not enough people were completing it, but I was determined to get cured, and it worked. I've had 1 year post-treatment blood test, been cured 2 years, even 3 years now. So it's definitely 100% out of me, thank God. And thanks to you, I'm always going to be forever in your debt for your help with that. And I'm so happy to hear that you're finally cured now too.
Oh, thank you. It's an incredible relief. Also, being in very, very good health. Otherwise, all my internal organs, lungs, heart, spleen, kidneys, everything has been tested by the Mayo Hospital, and all my internal organs are in tip-top shape. And by getting rid of the hepatitis C virus, I've added years to my life, and I need it because I'll be turning 74 on June the 7th.
And you keep breaking it. Like, everyone expected you to be one of the wrestlers to pass away decades ago, literally. And it's amazing that now you've beaten Hep C and you're going on to your mid-70s almost. And it seems like you've had your knee replaced. I think you got a hip and pelvis replacement coming up next, so you're back on the track to better health.
Oh yes. As I said, all my internal organs that keep you alive basically are perfect, and I just have orthopedic bone problems, but I can certainly live with that, and also with the technology and the improvement in orthopedics. Bone work, they're doing wonders. So I'm really blessed to also have the Mayo Clinic Hospital one of the best hospitals in the world here in Phoenix to keep me going. So it's really been but I'm just really, I tell you, I've told so many of my friends about you and the hell that you had to go through, and now you revealed that they've actually taken that drug that caused most of the side effects on you off the market. Because people can't. But I always told you that if anyone could make it through a hellish regimen of medication side effects, it would be Hannibal.
Oh, yes.
You just can't. No one's going to keep you. No other thing will keep you down.
That was by far the toughest thing I'd ever endured in my life. Doesn't compare to any wrestling matches or any physical fights I've been in my life. That medication was horrendous. But for anyone listening, what exactly is the name of this medication that cured you? Because it was a 3-month treatment. It was highly expensive from what I understand, but it worked, and I guess maybe some people might be entitled to medical coverage for it.
Oh, yes, I have Medicare, and Medicare actually paid for my treatments. It was quite expensive, right around $70,000, but Medicare paid for the entire treatment process and the costs. There's 3 drugs involved, and I can't pull up the names of the 3 different pills and the drugs in the medication. But if you go online, anyone can find the information online.
It's Havani or something, pharmaceuticals that...
Yeah, Harvani is another separate drug. I didn't qualify for Harvani, which is the most famous anti-hepatitis C drug out there now, and it really costs just about $100,000 a year for the 3-month treatment also, and is quite cost prohibitive to most people unless you have spectacular insurance. And they're trying to get the government, our government here in the U.S. is trying to get them to lower their prices for this Harvani. But my genotype did not match the Harvani drug, and so they came up with a different combination of drugs that work best for my genotype. So they can you just Google that information, seeking that information on the internet, you'll find it. Anybody will find it.
And if anyone wants to know about all the struggles you've been through with hepatitis C and different things in your life, you have a WWE book that I think is still available out there. Isn't it called Tangled Ropes? And you also have a WWE DVD out there, and they recently put out a new shirt of you two for any fans listening that want to search any of that stuff of superstars.
Yes, some merchandise. I'm hoping they'll re-release my book now. I've been in talks with Triple H about re-releasing my DVD called 20 Years Too Soon, and my autobiography, Tangled Ropes. So hopefully they'll be doing that coming up.
And you're back under Legends contract since 2015 now, I guess.
Yes, since September of 2015, Triple H gave me the Legends contract, and so I'm hoping some very good things, very positive, will come out of that contract as well.
And you were supposed to do the fan accesses at, I believe, the last couple of WrestleManias, but the problem why you couldn't do them was your orthopedic problems. Is that correct?
That's exactly right. My hip, my left hip especially, has to be operated on again because I've had 5 revisions, and that's almost like another total hip replacement in itself on the left hip alone. And it's beginning, the titanium parts of these hips wear on your pelvis. And now my left hip, the cup that holds the femur, the head of the femur, made out of titanium, is rubbing, it's loose and it's rubbing on my pelvis bone, and it's wearing it thin, is grinding away every step I take. That's why I'm still on one crutch, and will be until the fall, to help keep weight off my left hip. And at that time, that the orthopedic doctor selects in the fall, I'll have this left hip worked on again, adding bone to the bone and metal to the pelvis to help strengthen it, and then putting all new parts in again. So it'll be my sixth hip revision, and that's what kept me from going to the fan access last year, and then I also alerted Triple H before Orlando. I wanted to go to Orlando, but being my doctor, my orthopedic surgeon, urged me to not go to protect my hip from all the activities of the fan access and everything that goes on in WrestleMania. So possibly next year is in New Orleans, I believe.
Yes.
And so that's 11 months away, 10 months away. Very possible that I'll be able to make New Orleans. I'd like to go and to the be part of the fan access. I don't really care to be watching any matches. I've seen plenty of wrestling matches, but I would really love to meet and greet the fans and sign autographs. I would really enjoy that.
So I'm going to assume, I know you've already told me this, but for any fans wondering, listening to this, with the Raw and SmackDown taping coming to Phoenix in about 4 or 5 weeks, 2 nights in a row, I guess you're not going to be stopping by to watch the matches?
No, I won't. And you're correct. On July 3rd and July 4th, Raw and SmackDown will be in Phoenix coming up.
Brock Lesnar, apparently, they've even announced, will be at the Raw in one of his rare appearances outside of pay-per-views. Right,
and that still doesn't excite me enough to get me out. I'm 15 minutes from within the arena, but honestly, I just with the current product, honestly, the guys work so hard, the talent. And you know Hannibal, there are so many injuries. It seems like there is just a rash of injuries, tendon, ligament pulls, all kinds of injuries that we never had. Of course, in my era, we didn't do the incredibly high-risk moves that they're doing now. But
you actually wrestled more in your era because you would be going 7 days a week, usually twice Saturdays, twice Sundays sometimes. But
yeah, exactly right.
Safer style, I guess.
Yeah, and a slower style, and a more free style. That's one of my major complaints. I never knock the talent because they work so hard. It's not their fault that they have to. They're handed a script, and they have to memorize a script and recite what the writers write for them. It really is a shame, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. I think that has been one of the great downfalls of the current product is the scripts. The script, the wrestler doesn't have a chance to become an individual or create anything within himself because he's limited by the script writers. You can't think for yourself, Hannibal, anymore with this product, with Vince's product. You just can't. You're not allowed to think for yourself, as you know. And the promos are just it's just, and like I said, the talent works so hard. These guys work hard. I've seen these matches. These guys work hard, and but I really believe the scripted interviews have really diminished the product, and it's too bad.
Speaking of promos, you mentioned about a year or sometime around Dusty Rhodes passing that you might be interested in coming down to NXT's Performance Center sometime and acting as a promo coach for some of the young talent there. Did you ever talk to Triple H about that?
Oh yes, I did. We discussed that, and he was very excited about bringing me down. And I had thought about possibly even moving there. My wife Valerie is from Tampa, and all of her family, and my daughter lives in West Palm Beach, so everything is very close to Orlando. But I really gave it some thought after we talked about it, and even though I could help guys with their promos, they're still going to be handed a script, and you're not free. You don't have this freedom from my era and after my era even. You have so much freedom to be creative in your promos, and I believe there's guys out there that can really they have tremendous potential. But I decided after talking with Triple H, and he was all for it. He was excited about having me come down to the Performance Developmental Center and be in there helping these kids with problems. But really, honestly, after I thought about it, my heart is really not into it because of the restrictions of scripted promos. You don't have the freedom to be creative yourself and think for yourself. You are restricted. And that, so after thinking about it, and I gave Triple H a call back and just told him that I've really reconsidered and I would rather not go down, but I appreciate so much the opportunity of Triple H saying absolutely, we'd love to have you come down, be on board, and help with promos. But you really can't help guys with promos when you're given a script.
Dusty Rhodes was doing it before. How did you take the passing of Dusty? Because I know you guys were extremely close around the 1970s era.
Oh yes, we were very close. He was my favorite opponent. There was, I mean, we absolutely there was so much chemistry with us that it was very shocking, very sad, and such talent, such natural talent. He and I really had perfect chemistry. And our promos, we actually just said, well, we can just talk people into this building. we can talk them in. We know we can talk them in. And
so you didn't have to do the crazy physical stuff in those days, because just with the talking, you built the heat, and then it was just a matter of getting the crowd with your charisma once you were in the ring, instead of taking a lot of these crazy moves that they're doing nowadays.
Yes, the very high-risk, extreme moves were not necessary and at all. And also, you know, we had so much freedom. We had so much. The matches are basically scripted as well. I mean, we had freedom to walk and talk and stall and do anything we wanted to do. I mean, if you added up the actual in-ring action time between Dusty and I in our matches, you may have had 5 minutes of physical contact between both of us. It was all walking and talking and pointing and selling and rolling around. I walked back to that Madison Square Garden 3 times during each match, and got about 3 or 4 minutes out of each walk. So it's a really a great era. I really thank God I was in wrestling during that era of the 70s.
What's your opinion on Dusty's son, Cody Rhodes, leaving the WWE and going out on his own now, doing the independent?
Yeah, I met Cody a year and a half ago when SmackDown was in town, and had a nice visit with him. I went down to see some of the guys, and really. Honestly, I spent all my time talking with Jerry Lawler and Booker T. It was really the only 2 people I actually knew. I don't think Randy Orton was there at that show. But anyway, I had a nice visit with Cody. And, boy, I think he has a real burden to carry. I know I've read quotes from him that just tired of being compared to his dad, you know.
But now he's taken on the nickname the American Nightmare, so he's almost trying to pattern himself after his dad there, taking on that nickname.
Oh, I didn't hear that. I didn't realize that. The American Nightmare. So
I guess he's using that in New Japan now.
I see. Yeah. He's in a tough spot being the son of the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, probably the greatest promo guy ever, one of the top 2 or 3. I know.
Who else would you say would have been one of the greatest? Of course, so many people copied your promo style. You should be on anyone's list of the top 3 for sure, top 5 on even people who don't like you's list. But would you put Flair up there as one of the greatest promos ever?
Oh, yeah, no question about it. Rick had so much energy in his promos. Very, very convincing and very entertaining, and a tremendous amount of energy. Also, an amazing promo man was Curtis Ikea?
Yes, from Hawaii there.
From Hawaii, yes. I was amazed when I heard his promos. Absolutely spellbinding, entertaining promo. And, of course, Paul Heyman now, of course, is the greatest promo man. My gosh, of the modern era, even going all the way back to ECW days, of course. But Paul Heyman, if Brock Lesnar didn't have Paul Heyman speaking for him, he would not be anywhere close to the position that he's in. Because Brock Lesnar cannot cut a promo. I've heard him in interviews, just sit-down interviews, not trying to be in character, and even a regular sit-down interview doesn't come across very well at all, talking about MMA and different things. But if he didn't have Paul Heyman is absolutely magical with his promos, has such a delivery and such a command of your attention. He's absolutely. I just think he's probably, he's right there at the top. Obviously at the top. Just what a delivery. He demands your respect. Paul Heyman has this delivery, Hannibal, of he just convinces you this thing is going to happen. He's just amazing. I'm a mark. I'm an absolute mark for Paul. He's one of my best friends too, by the way, personal friends.
Yeah, I've seen the picture with you and him. You guys go back a long way, don't you? Because he used to be a photographer, I guess, when you were wrestling in New York.
Yes, yes, he was a photographer and rode around with Fred Blassie. He was a big mark for Fred Blassie. So, but yeah, he is absolutely. And here's one man who's improved with age, and his delivery is just. I mean, I'm telling you, he could be a Broadway actor. You can hand him a script and he can alter it just a little bit and deliver it like he wrote it. That's how good he is.
And speaking of Brock Lesnar, on your Facebook during the Brock Lesnar feud with Goldberg, you made quite a few posts regarding your opinion of that feud. Is there anything you want to say about it now that it's over, and anything about Goldberg's 3 matches that he had in returning to WWE?
That is, yeah, I think you said it all for me. It was amazing. It was just amazing. I'm happy for Goldberg. He said he did it. He just wanted. I remember reading and listening to him on several interviews that he did it so his son. Basically, he could see him in the ring. I guess his 10-year-old son had never seen him wrestle. Live or his wife, I don't know, but it was all it was amazing the impact that he had, and with such nanoseconds in the ring, and then the excitement he did, but all the, I noticed, do you remember, I noticed there towards the end, right before, there were some folks booing Goldberg. Do you recall that?
I didn't see all of the TV appearances, but I read that he was starting to get some boos, I guess maybe because the newness had worn off a little bit, perhaps, of him coming back after being off for so long. But he made a lot of money, so
he made a lot of money.
I can't blame him for going back.
That's right. That's exactly right. Oh my God, yes, good for him. And it was amazing what they put into just. I think the first match was 180 seconds. From start to finish, I think I read that.
I don't think his matches totaled 10 minutes of the 3 matches he had, so I wonder how much that would equal to him getting paid by the minute for in-ring action for whatever he was paid for those 3.
yeah. In ratio to time served. Yes. But it served its purpose, and I congratulate him on getting some great paydays, and he worked hard. I mean, he worked hard for the 10 minutes he was in there. He worked hard,
Now, when you were WWE champion, a lot of people don't realize that the money wasn't anywhere close to what it is today, was it?
Oh. Well, no, it was 1977. Is that like 40 years ago when I was champion? And tickets in Madison Square Garden, I think ringside was, maybe $10, something like that. $12 to ringside.
There's no pay-per-view revenue.
No pay-per-views whatsoever. And of course, no merchandise sales.
No residuals.
Nothing. And so I just it's just amazing the salary. But I'm happy they're getting it, But it was another era. It was 40 years ago, 1977, April. April 30th. That just happened a month ago. It's 40 years ago already. Hannibal.
But nobody's broken your consecutive sellout record at MSG yet, and I don't think anyone ever will because they don't go monthly anymore.
That's true, and also it's so different now. It's such a different product now, and it's delivered differently. You know, it's almost so predictable. It's just amazing the predictability of I try to catch a show every now and then when I can. I'm doing a lot of painting now, and so when I take a break, I try to catch a show, but it's just hard to watch because some of these I have timed the start of some of these shows, Raw or SmackDown, and when the show starts and the performer comes out and grabs the microphone, and then the music hits and another performer comes out and grabs the microphone, and I've timed that sometimes it's been over 20 minutes since the start of the actual program before they wrap up their intro and go to commercial before the first match of a scripted promo, but so it's a completely different product. It's not even recognizable.
What do you think of the latest championship change that shocked a lot of people with Jinder Mahal defeating Randy Orton? I guess they're going to be going to India soon. So supposedly one of the reasons is...
Think about that. Think about Jinder going to India with his entourage that Vince has given him. He's really. I was looking at some pictures the other day, and his entourage. I think I saw some girls dressed in Indian garb, kind of look like belly dancers with him. But man, my God, think about this guy going to India. It's going to be. I hope there's good security. Well, there will be good security, but. It's just I'm really happy, and I understand from your last email that your friends you worked with Jinder.
Oh yeah, we used to. We were the two biggest guys in Stampede Wrestling, so we used to wrestle each other all the time. And he's a very deserving champion, I think, because he's been working at it a lot of years. And one thing he has that a lot of their recent champions haven't had is the look. He looks like a wrestler. He's about 6'5". I don't know what he is now. I'd say about 250, but he definitely has the physique of a champion, I would say.
Yes, without question. Very impressive. Very impressive. And his gimmick, the gimmick he has is just fantastic. And I did read just the other day that he was saying that he believes, and I believe it's true what he said, that he feels like he is also an inspiration in the locker room to talent, because didn't he start out at the very bottom of the heap doing opening matches?
Yes, for many years, and then he was released, and then they brought him back, starting at the bottom again, and then I guess they've made this decision that he's going to get a push and be the new star. So he's
yes,
persevered.
So he's living proof. That was his comment. That was his quote that I was so impressed with, that he is living proof to the talent in the locker room that you can start at the bottom literally and end up on top, and so he said he felt like he was an inspiration to some of the guys underneath, and I like that. I like that comment. I think that's good. That's cool, and he is. He proved it. And now they're really fine-tuning, as much as I can see, like I said, I don't see much, but the little bit that I see, they're really fine-tuning his gimmick, and man, he's gonna be good to go. This guy.
Have you heard that New Japan is going to be starting a U.S. division of their company in 2018?
Well, I didn't hear that, but I heard that they're live
doing a few shows
in Japan.
In July.
TV is live. TV.
Yeah.
Raw is live. Live here and live in Tokyo at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
Live Raw in Japan.
Yeah. So
at 9 a.m. in the morning, their time. So, and aren't they also in China?
Yes, they are now, yeah. Which is crazy.
And did they just get a deal with the Philippines TV?
I've heard that they're expanding to all sorts of different places.
Yes, literally worldwide. Literally.
And one piece of news I wanted to ask you about, a lot of people have commented on it. I know you wrestled for the NWA a lot, and you wrestled Harley Race when you were WWE champion in a unification match for the NWA title in the Orange Bowl, but it ended up being a draw. But what do you think of Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins? Apparently he's bought the NWA name now and the titles and all this. Do you think that has any meaning in today's world?
Oh, I have no idea because I'm not quite sure of how successful they are. Just to be perfectly honest, I'm not that well tuned in to what's happening with those folks.
Right.
So I have no idea.
The last I heard about Billy was there was something going on with he had bought into TNA or something, but it didn't work out, and there was some type of settlement between him and Dixie Carter. So now I guess he's gone off and bought the NWA name from the NWA, and who knows what he's going to do with it. But I know you haven't been a big fan of TNA, or I guess they call themselves Impact Wrestling now.
Impact, yes. Yes.
When Dixie Carter was running it. Have you seen the show at all since Jeff Jarrett has taken the company back over?
No, I have not. I barely saw a little bit of it when Dixie was still owner and running things. It was just hard. It was hard TV. It was difficult to watch. It was difficult. But the NWA, I just don't. Gosh, I just don't see it going anywhere. It's just WWE is such a machine. It's in everyone's vocabulary. You know, you see WWE. Well, of course, yes. I mean, in our country, you know, I mean, how can you overcome such a monopoly of talent and television coverage? How do you even conceive an idea to compete against that?
Especially now with NXT, they own kind of their own competition, so
yes,
that's becoming a machine on its own, from what I understand.
Yes, and but I'm not really. Even though the cruiserweight boys work very, very hard, I'm just not a fan of the cruiserweight. There's nothing personal here, but I'm just not a fan of the cruiserweight division.
Right.
Even though they work extremely hard and really perform. I guess I'd rather see heavyweight MMA. I'd rather see, you know, Brock Lesnar versus Chuck Liddell, maybe, you know, heavyweight. And it's nothing personal. It's just The lightweight boys, the cruiserweight boys, God, they work so hard, though. My God, they work hard. But
Speaking of Brock Lesnar and MMA, what did you think of his drug test failure after his last MMA fight, which led to a year's suspension?
Oh my God! Didn't he know that he was going to get caught? I mean, he had to know that he would be busted, right? He's going to have to give a urine sample.
I guess it was only something. The fine was extremely small compared to what he actually made from the fight, so maybe it was more important to him to win the fight than deal with a fine for a drug test failure. Who knows?
Oh yes, of course. I think the fine was minuscule to the money that he makes. I think the fine was $200,000.
Something like that. I can't remember, but I believe it was reported that with all the bonuses and everything, he made around 10 million or so from the fight. So
yes.
200,000.
So who cares about pocket change of $250,000 fine? It's laughable.
And if he's not the highest paid WWE wrestler, he's definitely in the top 3 for a limited schedule, and I believe he has a farm in Saskatchewan that's on something like 600 acres, so he might be making some money from whatever farming he's doing as well.
Oh, there's no question about it, but I don't know how reliable the salary reports are, but gee whiz, I read that John Cena is the highest paid WWE performer without merchandise and without making movies. Just his contract is $10 million a year.
Yeah, I've heard that Brock Lesnar, this might be just a report, I heard that he makes around $8 million a year with his deal, but that could be an incorrect report, but he's definitely in the millions.
Yeah, so we might be off a couple million.
Yeah, I mean, but that's a downside guarantee. Then they're getting pay-per-view bonuses, merchandise bonuses, and Lesnar and Cena. Cena is probably number 1 without question in merchandise.
Oh yes, he is number 1. Yes, that has to be a fact. Yes, and I don't understand why Roman Reigns is struggling with the fans. That's still going on. Isn't he still getting a lot of boos, and then half are for him, half are against him?
Are they still trying? I don't actually have cable, so I don't see Raw regularly, but are they still trying to make him a babyface? Because I was under the impression after he defeated The Undertaker at WrestleMania that they were going to make him a heel possibly, but I don't follow the product that closely.
I don't either, and I have cable, and it costs $250 a month to have cable. So my wife Valerie was complaining about it. Like, my God, we pay $250 a month for cable. Look at what we're watching. She was scrolling through the anyway. Yeah, that.
But what's your opinion on Roman Reigns? I know you've made some posts about him.
Yeah, I really, his dad is Oppa, right?
Yes.
I love his. Yeah, his father. I've traveled with Oppa and Sika. I love those guys, and but I don't understand. There just seems to be something missing in his personality. There's something missing. Like, we know there's nothing missing when Paul Heyman comes out because he grabs your attention.
Yeah.
There's people that grab your attention, but there's something I've tried to figure it out. and I thought one time, well, does he just have this expression, this kind of blank expression? He doesn't seem to have a character face. I don't know. There's just something missing. And this is not personal. I'm sure he's a great guy. I love his dad. I'm sure he's a great guy, but there's just something missing. And I also heard that he just worked against Seth
Rollins.
Seth Rollins the other night, last Raw, 3 days ago, and so he was definitely a heel in that match. But
what would you tell him to get over if you could have a piece of advice for Roman Reigns if he's listened to this by some chance?
Oh my God, I don't know how you pull something out of a person who maybe is not even naturally blessed with some hidden charisma. There's something, the charismatic individual. There's charisma missing. Maybe it's hidden somewhere. It needs to be pulled out. I don't know how to do it. I wouldn't know how to pull it out of the guy. You know, so I just can't figure it out. I honestly can't. He just seems flat. His personality, you know, it just seems flat. A great performer, great look, everything is there, but it just seems like a flat. He's flat. There's no pop. There's no excitement to his personality, and that's just, you know, maybe I'm going too far back with like Dusty and I and other guys of the 70s that even weren't as charismatic as Dusty or I, but still had so much charisma. You know, even the great Nick Bockwinkel, his gimmick of being the intellectual genius, had charisma in his own sense. And he wasn't a Ric Flair.
He was believable as a arrogant heel for sure, Nick Bockwinkel. Yes. And what do you think of Samoa Joe, on another topic of a current WWE star?
Oh my God, he really, I think that he is actually a legitimate tough guy on the street. Oh, did he do any MMA?
I've heard he's been trained in martial arts, and I've heard that he is legitimately tough. He's worked for Great North Wrestling probably 3 or 4 times. He definitely carries himself like he's legitimately tough, I would say.
Yes, you can see that. That's a good analogy right there. He carries himself. That's the phrase. That's the phrase I was looking for with Roman Reigns. The way he carries himself. Okay, Samoa Joe, you know the guy is tough. He carried the look on his face. He has that look. The way he carries himself, you believe he's a badass. You just do. He has the look and the way he carries himself and the way, that's it. That's a great phrase. The way he carries it, you believe this guy really is believable. And I heard from our mutual friend Mike down in Florida that he did some research on him, and I think he did say he did do some MMA, and that he was also legit tough, street tough, because he was hanging out with the real bad street boy that was MMA, Tank Abbott.
Oh yeah, Mike's a big fan of Tank Abbott.
Yeah. So him and Samoa Joe and Tank Abbott, you hang out with Tank Abbott, you're gonna pick up some pretty rough edges, man.
And speaking of MMA, another guy you've been critical of in the past is CM Punk, who had a performance in MMA.
Oh,
What did you think about that?
oh, that was so. It was actually sad. It was, and the saddest part about it is that his promo after the
That was bizarre. That was
very bizarre. Yeah, very bizarre promo. It was some odd. He sounded like a professor giving a lecture. It
to
was
his
the
opponent after the
oddest thing.
opponent beats him.
Yes, yes, yes. And I was just getting ready to ask Mike about if he's heard anything, because CM Punk said he is going to fight again, but my Dana White says, well, you're not going to fight for me again for quite a while until you get some real fights underneath you and kind of prove yourself. So he hasn't done that. So he just, he looked awful thin too.
Could you blame him for taking a fight for $500,000, even though he clearly wasn't ready from what we saw?
Oh, we can't blame anyone for taking $500,000 to take a beating.
Supposedly there's a British wrestling company that has openly said they'll pay him $1 million if he would come back to wrestling and participate in a 2-day tournament that they're putting on. What would you suggest to CM Punk?
Oh, I did. I think I read something on that on one of the sites, the news sites.
Because he says he doesn't want anything to do with wrestling anymore, but $1 million for a couple days in a...
Be foolish to turn that down unless he has untold millions, and he does have millions evidently.
Yeah.
Been very successful, but how could you turn down $1 million or $2 million for just a couple of days of your time and something you can do very well?
Unlike MMA.
Unlike MMA.
What did you think of CM Punk as a wrestler? Did you think he was an all right wrestler? Or?
I wasn't watching much at that time. I wasn't. I liked the name. It was a good name, CM Punk. I liked the name, but I did. I kind of liked the way. You remember the way he would kneel down over somebody like on the stage if he attacked him or something, and he had this habit of kind of squatting down and looking at them while they were prone on the stage, from an attack or something.
Yeah, I didn't watch it too much when he was on, but
I just caught a few of those things. I thought that was a very good dominant position, and almost like humiliating the person you just ambushed. But I didn't really honestly see him work that much, so I can't give a real honest assessment.
Do you think it's good for the wrestling business that a multiple-time world champion like CM Punk would be defeated so easily in MMA, even though everyone knows now that wrestling is predetermined? In my opinion, they still like to pretend in their mind that these guys are tough, and there are some very legitimate tough guys, but it's in my opinion, it kind of looks bad for the professional wrestling industry that a multiple-time champion was dismantled so easily in the octagon.
Yes, it was very actually embarrassing for the wrestling industry as a whole to be completely dominated. Wasn't it the first round? It was the first round thing.
Yeah, it wasn't very long.
No, it was the first, like a 2-minute first round thing, and to be totally dominated, and then it just didn't. But you know what? I've watched. The times I do get a chance to watch a little bit of Raw or SmackDown. I tell you what, I'm looking at these fans, the faces, and I'm seeing some fans that believe this thing that don't remember or never heard when Vince said it is not a real wrestling match. This is entertainment. You know, I believe there are so many fans out there that are in the audience on these Raw and SmackDown shows. I see people really into these things.
They definitely suspend their disbelief, and you can capture them sometimes, because even at the last Great North Wrestling event we had, unfortunately the match was stopped between Rene Dupree and I, because I got busted open, and there's a no blood policy in Great North Wrestling to protect our wrestlers against diseases. But a lot of fans, it seemed like we were almost going to have a riot, that they did not like that the match ended that way. And
Yes.
it reminded me of kind of a little bit in your days, because they were actually quite upset. The referee was actually afraid to walk to his car because he thought he was going to get lynched. So
in your Renee your MMA style
yeah,
you're talking about, because of
yeah,
the stoppage because of the blood.
yeah. I mean, the fans were legitimately very upset over that. So I mean, there are a lot of fans out there that can still get into
Yes.
wrestling, I think, and I don't know. Maybe the business should try and go back to the suspension of disbelief a bit more, which they might. I actually think WWE is doing in some ways.
I think they are too, and they should. They actually should. They should just forget about because there's so many people. I'm telling you, I've looked at these faces, and there are people there that are so engrossed in these matches and in these personalities that they believe it. I'm telling you this. They don't know that Vince declared it's entertainment now, folks, and it's not wrestling, real wrestling. They just don't believe. If they heard it, they forgot about it, or they never heard it. Because there's some very serious folks out there watching this stuff. You can see it on their faces.
Just ask the people when Roman Reigns beat The Undertaker.
Yes. And then ask those same people when Brock Lesnar broke his streak.
Oh yeah.
They were weeping.
What is your opinion of the way that The Undertaker went out? I know you're a big fan of The Undertaker, and I know you have a lot of respect for him.
Yeah, I really do. I've had some real great conversations with him, and I've really enjoyed visiting with him backstage and talking and everything. And but you know, when the hip goes, you know, I mean, my God, you could see him. I saw the match and saw him walking down that ramp in Orlando to the ring. That ramp looked like it was a half a mile long. If you go back and look, find the video. That ramp, it took him forever to get to the ring, and I could see him gritting his teeth with every step on that bad hip, because I can recognize hip pain. And every step, he was trying not to sell that slight limp. And then I watched him closely as he ascended the stairs to get inside the ring. And when he stepped up, I believe I think it was his right hip that was when he put he had to step up, and the first step was okay because we'll say it was his left foot and the left hip, which is fine. So it was a normal step up, but then he had to put all of his weight, we'll say, on the right hip and the right leg, and I could see him grit his teeth, and just he just wobbled a hair. I am unfortunately such a pro at hip pain. I can recognize it. I was watching for it, and then seeing him limp during the match. This man his hip was bone on bone. I mean, come on, brother.
Yeah, he looked in a lot of pain throughout the entire match.
A lot of pain. Tremendous pain. Yeah, tremendous pain.
And one of our most viewed videos on the Hannibal TV was the video that we shot of you reuniting with Hulk Hogan at the WrestleCon for the New Jersey WrestleMania there. Do you remember that day?
Oh, yes, of course. Yes,
I've had a lot of questions from fans asking if you guys had any contact further past that day, so maybe you could answer that question now.
Actually, no. I've heard through a mutual friend, Jamie D, who's really friends with the Hulk and me, and that he mentions me quite often to ask her how I'm doing, because we do correspond, Jamie and I.
Yeah.
But I haven't spoken to him.
What was it like seeing him that day after all those decades apart? I mean, you both had your reasons not to like each other. He pretty much, the fact is that he stole a lot of elements of your gimmick, which you were all right with. You took it as flattery, but he didn't always give you the respect you deserved for everything he took from you.
Well, it was, and that's also putting, to be honest, that would be putting him in a rather awkward position to, explain that he, or confess that he, as he put it, stole all my stuff. And this is a quote at that event you're talking about. Of course, my favorite picture of that meeting is you pointing at Hulk. Please post that picture with this interview of you.
Yeah, I'll post it for the part where we're talking about this.
Yeah, just put that still up of you pointing at the Hulk and challenging him to an arm wrestling contest, and blatantly telling him, I remember you telling the Hulk that you will rip his arm out of his shoulder. You told.
And I was on my hepatitis C treatment at that time, and he still wouldn't take the arm wrestling match.
I told him, this is a quote from me to the Hulk at that exact venue you're talking about.
Yeah.
I told him, because he was telling me personally, kind of whispering, we were back and forth, that, well, I stole everything from you. And I said, Hulk, listen, you don't have to use that term. Just tell people that you were inspired by me, that you didn't steal anything from me. You were just inspired by my, my performance, my look, my ring attire, my interviews. You were inspired. So I firstly told the Hulkster to quit telling and using the phrase, I stole your look. I stole, don't worry about stealing anything. You were inspired
And
by
some of the
me.
terms that he was inspired by, such as brother, pythons,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
instance.
These were classic terms. The
And
python.
a lot of people
But he
don't
was,
give you credit. You were the first wrestler to ever be called the superstar. You
yeah,
took the
right.
name. Now they're all called superstars.
Yes, yes. Even the girls are superstars.
Yeah, which is incredible.
The girls are superstars. But he was smart though, using the python, because I said I had 22-inch pythons, and when he took it, he went to 24. I have 24-inch pythons, so he upped me by 2 inches on the pythons.
What was he
I
like
told
when you first met him? Anyways, was he? What was the difference between like? Because he was one of the people. You were one of the people that he came to for advice on getting into the industry, right? So what was the
yes.
difference between him in those days and then in later years when you guys were, I guess, in WWE together and he was giving you the Real American Award and that time? What would have been the differences in his personality?
Oh, in the beginning, in the very, very beginning, when he was trying to break in, he was uh, very polite, but he was obsessed with becoming a wrestler. Obsessed with it. He said, "I have to become a wrestler. I have to. How do I get in?" He told me, asked me, "How do I get in?" He said, um, Matsuda and Eddie Graham, and they won't let me in. They won't give me a tryout, you know. And so I just told him to keep trying. You'll get it. But
Didn't you get called to get him booked in Alabama too or something when he couldn't get booked anywhere?
I don't recall that, but he did ask me. He did ask me in Atlanta for advice. He had two places to go to, Minneapolis, or it might have been the Alabama thing. And I said, please go to Minneapolis. This is the big stage other than New York. And of course, we know that he eventually did with Vince.
Yeah. And the other guy that
Minneapolis.
patterned himself after you, of course, Ric Flair took a lot from you, and he's always spoken highly of you. And Jesse Ventura, of course, too, who has gone on to great fame in the last couple decades, actually. So you must be very proud of everyone that you've had influence on.
Yeah, I don't know how I really influenced Ric Flair that much. I don't. I've tried to analyze that statement he said over and over and over again. I guess because we're such good friends, he gives me the credit for
Because
inspiring
he
him.
used to
But
follow you around in AWA, right? And he would drive your car from the airport and things like that.
oh yes, yes, yes. For instance, when we would wrestle, say in Fargo, North Dakota, 250 miles to Minneapolis during the winter, we'd drive over, me, Flair, Koloff, maybe in my car, and I didn't feel like driving back, and so I said, Rick, please just drive my car back for me, and I'll give you a call, tell you what time I come in and be at the airport to pick me up. And so he, but that wasn't like treating him with disrespect.
No, it was his pleasure to do that for you because you were a big superstar and he was breaking into the business and he liked you.
Yeah, and I wasn't abusing him. I wasn't abusing or using him to drive my car back. I just didn't want to drive, probably because I
think Dusty abused him a lot more from the stories I've heard about how Dusty and Murdoch treated him, and he didn't mind.
That's probably true
they would
because,
rip him a lot.
because that was more their nature. That was more their personality as rednecks, Murdoch, and Dusty at that time. And I was a little more, no, I'm not a redneck.
And you were never a big drinker or partier?
No, exactly. Exactly. I was kind of more to myself. And, but I just saw Rick at the Indianapolis 500 being interviewed, and in Indianapolis, and one of the top race car drivers, like the number 2 driver at this huge, iconic event. Saturday night, Rick was at a bar, as a guest of the bar, making a personal appearance, and the number 2 driver for the Indianapolis 500 car race said, well, I'm going to so-and-so's bar tonight, Saturday night, and have some drinks and get partially drunk with Ric Flair. He says, I'm not really going to get too drunk because I got to drive tomorrow. I got to drive 500 miles. I got to race tomorrow, 500 miles. So I'm really not going to get too drunk with Ric Flair. But here's a guy on national television. I told Valerie, my wife, I said, how does Ric Flair do it? He's such an iconic name, and this number 2 race car driver in the world. So I can't wait to go to the bar and party with Ric Flair.
What's your opinion of those pictures that came out recently of his daughter, and I guess all these private pictures are coming out of various female wrestlers?
I don't know why they're taking the selfies, why...
Just asking for trouble, I guess.
Well, you've got to realize Charlotte's not stupid. I sat and talked with Charlotte when I went to SmackDown a year and a half ago here in Phoenix, and she saw me and came over and sat down next to me and said, oh, Superstar, I just want to meet you so bad. She was so sweet. And we sat there and talked for 30 minutes. I told her about my wife giving your dad his first bleach blonde hair deal in Minneapolis before he hit the road, took off, became an icon. And she loved the story. So she's a very intelligent girl. But I don't get it. She said, she wanted to check out her abs, her obliques. She's a great athlete. But you don't just take pictures of yourself nude, and then it just so happens on that very day somebody hacks into your account and gets your photos and puts them all over the world. Do you?
What do you think now, just a couple more questions here, about all the wrestlers that have been involved in porn, either like having sex tapes leaked, or some like China and Sunny and X-Pac have actually made porn videos, but now you've had Hulk Hogan in a sex tape. Paige recently has made a big, wasn't her fault apparently, but she's on tape, I guess, getting double teamed with a couple WWE wrestlers. What do you think? That wouldn't have happened with, what's his name, Wahoo McDaniel. You wouldn't have seen anything like that come out.
No, it's very, it's our culture. It's this culture that we're living in. And I tell you, the guy it was a year and a half now already. I went to the SmackDown house show here in Phoenix. And Paige's fiance, the Hispanic wrestler, the Mexican?
Alberto El Patron or Alberto Del
Yeah,
Rio.
but what is his before El Patron?
Del Rio.
Yes, Alberto Del Rio was the nicest person on earth to me. He came over almost sprinting, one of the very few. He was so excited to meet me, and my God, I couldn't believe how kind he was and polite and just thrilled to meet me. And I said, man, I'm thrilled to meet you too. You're a great performer. And I said, my God, you make Mil Mascaras look like a beginner. He loved that line where I put him over Mascaras.
Oh, yeah. Because for people that don't know, you fought Mascaras in the Garden.
Yes, and actually, Mil Mascaras was the first masked wrestler allowed to wrestle in Madison Square Garden. That was they wouldn't let any masked wrestlers wear a mask in Madison Square Garden until Mil came to town and wrestled me 2 shows in a row, sold out immediately because, I mean, my God, Mil Mascaras, first time ever in Madison Square Garden. And, yeah, Alberto was such a fine person, so kind, so polite, such a nice man to me, my God.
And he's still with Paige even after that video came out, so that shows just how accepting he is, because a lot of people would go off the deep end if something like that comes out about their fiance.
Oh my God, yes, think about that. Yes, that's exactly right.
Do you think WWE will take her, like she's still technically under contract, she's been suspended a couple times, but do you think after all that controversy they're actually going to bring her back on TV?
Well, I would hope so, because our culture is so used to this stuff now that it's not a big deal.
Right.
I mean, I know Vince's the family, rating and all that, but my God, Charlotte is, what's the difference between Charlotte and Paige? Nude is nude.
Yeah. And another video that we put out that you did, I think all the way back in 2011, just after Chris Jericho had come out with a book where it made some comments about you. He had a problem with you being in charge of Eddie Guerrero's funeral, but is that all water under the bridge now, or is there still some resentment between you and Jericho?
Oh, no. But no, there was never any follow-up. As a matter of fact, I think the guy's very wise. Really, I'll go on the record saying he's very smart, having a band and going in back and forth.
Yeah.
He
has not all of his eggs in one basket.
Yeah, very clever, very clever.
And people that, serious inquiries only, that are interested in purchasing some of your artwork or possibly having you do something custom for them, are you still accepting offers on that type of stuff?
Oh yeah, commissions, yeah, any artwork, you go to my Facebook, and there's an address where I can be contacted, and for photographs, autographed photographs, and artwork, commissioned artwork, and
if they message you there, you have a guy named Mike that usually passes the messages.
Yes, he runs my my Facebook that you started for me, and it's you're the one who got it going, and Mike jumped in down in Florida to help you out. Because you're so busy, but yeah, he watches very closely, and has an address posted up that you can private message me and get an address and send me a contact, and I'll get right back to you.
And if they want to buy your WWE shirt, I guess they could just go to WWE shop and search up Billy Graham, Superstar Billy Graham T-shirt, I guess.
I guess, but honestly, I wouldn't even bother. To my fans out there, it's a horrible shirt. It's just a drawing of my arm, and I asked Triple H, please let me have a little artistic input to my T-shirt. He said, well, we're doing a lot of contemporary T-shirts, the contemporary merchandise. Well, that's what I got out of Triple H. The T-shirt looks horrible. I told Triple H. I told him, looks horrible. There was some Japanese wrestler.
Japanese MMA fighter or something.
Yes.
Mike knew him. There's a picture of a very famous Japanese MMA fighter that posted a picture wearing your shirt, which was
yes,
cool.
I couldn't believe it. He actually bought that dull, boring shirt.
Well, it might be boring by your standards. You're one of the most flamboyant wrestlers of all time. You were known for your colorful ring attire, so I guess by your standards it might be plain, but I don't think it's too bad of a shirt, but
yes, I guess by my standards I'm a little being an artist and being flamboyant and with tie-dye and
butterfly chain around your neck.
Yes, and the first person to wear a boa.
Oh yeah, and both Jesse Ventura and Hulk Hogan ended up taking
and
it.
And Hulk and Jesse took the boa from me. I was the one that came up with the boa, and this is how I did it on the day of the Madison Square Garden of the matches. I went out. I thought, what am I going to wear besides what I know I was going to wear? All black with a sequin rose tank top in the middle of the tank top. All black. I said, I need a boa, an actual boa. I went to Macy's, the famous Macy's department store in New York in '77 and paid $250 for a real boa right off a mannequin, a black boa. And so I wore it. Yeah, I wore that in the ring, the first wrestler to wear a boa.
Do you think it's kind of a rib that they brought Bob Backlund back and put him in there with the homosexual wrestler as the...
It had to be. I know Vince pretty well, and Vince does have sometimes a warped sense of humor, and I just have to believe it was just Vince having fun and laughing.
Because Bob doesn't seem like the type of, like, he's so straight and narrow that he doesn't seem like the guy that would be too accepting of that, but he's not the type that would say anything about it either if that was the job given to him. But.
Yes, that's true. That's true, but I'm sure it was...
I understand that angle's not really getting over, though. I haven't actually seen it, but...
You haven't seen it, and I don't want to see it. So I'm glad you warned me. But I did see Bob doing this, playing this dominant training role for somebody.
Yeah, that's the guy. They made him like the trainer to this guy. Darren Young is his name, and I guess he's come out as being a homosexual, I guess, and which whatever suits you. So they've given Bob Backlund the role of the trainer of him, but I guess that was their idea to help get the kid over, but I guess it hasn't been working too well. But
no, I wouldn't project that bit of drama to go anywhere. Honestly, I really wouldn't.
And the last question I have for you is just about Kevin Sullivan, because he's got a podcast now, and he always puts you over very heavily on that podcast whenever he talks about you. So I was just wondering if you have a favorite memory or anything about Kevin Sullivan.
Oh my God! What a genius of a booker. When Dusty left Florida and went to Carolinas to be the booker in the Carolinas, and Kevin Sullivan took over in Tampa in the Florida territory to be the booker. What a genius! And he was doing that. He was doing that. That devil gimmick, and he was, like being nailed to the tree of woe, and this girl named Luck was her name. He would slap her so hard on television that you could hear the slap across the sportatorium little area there, and almost knock her off her feet on television. And he went to the big angle is he went to slap her again as hard as he could, and as he reached back and prepared a big roundhouse slap, I caught his arm halfway before I got to her face and stopped him, and we had to stare down. You can't be hitting, you can't be slapping this poor, innocent, slightly deranged young lady. You can't be slapping this girl. And he says, we had a confrontation, and as we broke apart, and he walked across, and he started to walk up the set right there by the ring. He grabbed a folding chair and threw it at me. Hit me in the face, the side that cut my eye open the hard way. And I said, Kevin, you got to be a little more careful when you hit me with a chair. I came back into the locker room bleeding. He cut me off with that. He says, yeah, but it was hot. It was hot, superstar. It was hot. It was hot, brother. It was hot. And the great story, I'm hoping to find the photograph someday. The great ending to this story. This is a good way to finish up this interview, which I appreciate very much, by the way. I really enjoyed this. You're one of my favorite friends and personalities and wrestlers, but I was under Kevin Sullivan's spell, his demonic spell. Okay, that's why I became his tag team partner and had these python snakes wrapped around me, which I hated. I hated snakes. I was afraid of them. I had to wrap these snakes around me. And anyway, to break his demonic grip he had on me, I took 2 weeks off, and I said, I've got to go back to the Arizona desert, and I've got to purge this is making my point about scripts and no freedom to think for yourself and be creative. I said, I'm going to the Arizona desert, and I'm going to purge myself of this demonic Kevin Sullivan spirit that he has cast on me. And did you ever see any of the still photographs of me staked out in the river bottom?
Oh, I've actually seen those.
Yes, I had my white karate pants soaked in blood, and I had stakes. We drove stakes into the river bottom, a real river bottom, and I stretched. We tied my hands apart and wrists, and my legs spread apart, and I lay there. We took still shots, and I was purging myself of this demonic devil, Kevin Sullivan, and we put those stills up when I came back, and I came back and declared, I'm free. I'm set free from the grip of this demon from hell, and I'm going to get my revenge. And then we worked together around, did tremendous business, but it was so much fun. and he was so creative with that.
They need to hire
the Tree of
him
Woe.
for
He
the
was
WWE
actually
creative.
Yeah, you can't even mention it in the same breath. That was so much freedom to be creative, Devin, to think for yourself and create. I actually thought up of this idea to be free from this demonic. I was possessed by the spirit of this evil monster. His soul was wretched. The things that we could come up with, and we did.
He was like a Charles Manson type character.
Yes,
almost,
Charles
right?
Manson type.
Yeah.
Yes, controlling demonic. Yeah, it was just off the charts. Original. Yeah. It's great stuff.
Well, thank you so much. Huge congratulations. You slayed the dragon, as they say. You defeated hepatitis C. It's over. That fight's done 25 years later.
Yeah, that's the big demon right there. That's
what
the real
liver?
demon.
What liver god? Another one. You know, the liver can actually recover. So, if you're
Regenerate.
lucky, yeah, it can regenerate. So,
yes.
I really wish you the best with that, and I really appreciate. This was only going to be a quick interview, but you gave us great answers, and you really went above and beyond what we were asking.
It was my pleasure. Talking to you is always a pleasure. My God, you bring out. You can reach in. I mean, it's just there's nothing forced. It's just good. It's good to have that freedom. We didn't have a script.
No.
There's no script here, brother.
Hey,
maybe I'll see you in the ring.
Maybe.
Someday, with my health improving, I just may get on the big silver bird and end up in Ottawa and get in the ring and make an appearance for Hannibal.
We would love that.
I would love it too.
That, yeah. And speaking of no script, to finish this off, I'm not going to say anything else. Can you shut this down with a promo?
Okay, I'm still superstar Billy Graham, the man of the hour, the man with the power, too sweet to be sour. Oh my God, I said that so many times. Vince actually told me once, superstar, if I hear that again, I'm gonna go crazy. Never use that one again. Come up with a new one. But they actually told me that. Vince actually told me to never say that. I said, that's my catchphrase, Vince. That's what I'm famous for. The man of the hour, the man with the power, too sweet to be sour. Come on, Vince. I created that phrase. Oh, my God.
Thank you for listening to the Great North Wrestling Podcast. Please check out our official website at thehannibaltv.com. For all the latest news and information on GNW, follow us on Twitter at GNW Wrestling, Instagram at GN Wrestling. Subscribe to the Hannibal TV on YouTube for all the latest GNW shoot interviews, match videos, and wrestling promos. And if you like our content, please support us on our The Hannibal TV Patreon page to watch our full shoot interviews, at least 2 weeks prior to them being listed public on YouTube. Our The Hannibal TV Patreon page is only $1.99 per month and is the best way to help us improve production quality and record more shoot interview videos with wrestling legends and MMA stars.